Hey everybody, how's it going? B Temple here again. Just going to move on to our second and last part of the review of this 24-hour Russian IRP ration. And just to review from last time, it's menu number 5. We did the unboxing and a single meal out of this in the last video. So let's just see what we got left and do everything in one fell swoop, basically. So a few of the things I guess we're not going to need. I'm not a particularly big tea or coffee drinker, so we're not going to be doing that for this review. It's also a very hot summer's day, so a cup of tea is probably not the best thing I'm looking for. We're not going to need these wet wipes right now, but what we will probably do is just run through everything else that's in the box that's in some way, shape, or form edible, and lay it all out on a tray and see where we go. Alright, here we go, guys. We got this all laid out now. We're going to have it as one big meal instead of just breaking it up into 2 meals, just to try to condense this down a little bit more. There's still a few sort of other things left in the box that I won't be getting to, like the wet wipes and sugar, tea, coffee, creamer, that sort of stuff. And we've still got a pack each of the wheat and the white crackers. Save that for later for snacking on. And a few other random things like your water purification tabs and matches and striker and that sort of thing. The small little stove kit with the fuel tabs, things like that. We'll just cook the mains in some boiling water, something like that. And what do we got left? So we've got ourselves a multivitamin, just a, knife and spoon, the leftover salt and pepper, if anyone remembers from the last video. I wasn't aware of the fact that 1 gram of pepper was an awful lot of pepper. So we'll sort of spread that out for the other mains if need be. Still got ourselves a peach or apricot, I'm not sure, it's probably going to be peach. Beverage-based powder left, and also a cherry. Got some of our Stimmerol gum. We're going to do our white wheat crackers, our applesauce. We've got 2 different types of pate. One's more of a sort of liver pate, and I believe it may have brain in it as well. I guess we'll see. And this is what's considered the vegetable caviar, and it's mostly just sort of pureed zucchini, eggplant, that sort of thing. And then we've got 2 mains. We've got ourselves a beef and potatoes, and this thing, which has 2 different translations. It either comes out as a beef stew or just beef first class, whatever that could mean. So it's either going to have vegetables in it, but by translating the ingredients list here, it seems like all you're really going to get is just going to be a one solid piece of beef in, juices, fat, that sort of thing, with some salt and pepper. And it also, I believe, says bay leaf is in it as well. So, first of all, we are going to get our 2 mains heated up. And while that's doing its thing, we'll take a run around the rest of the tray and see how everything else is going. So, be back in a second. Alright, guys, so while that's heating up over there, let's just take a little, travel around the tray here and get everything else ready. So first of all, I think what we're going to do is probably mix up our 2 drinks, I guess. So we'll just get our glasses ready. First of all, we're going to try what I assume is the peach drink. And our cherry drink. And as we can see by pouring these out, they have a very, very sizable granule, I guess is the way to put it. Sometimes these are fairly powdery, but the Russian drink mixes seem to be a bit different than that. This one doesn't seem to want to tear where the tear notch is. There we go. I had to go get the scissors to help me out with that one for some strange reason. So as we can see, the peach one has sort of a slight yellow kind of hue to it, and obviously the cherry one has a little bit of red. Now those are going to have to sit off to the side for a little while and just kind of do their thing. I don't know if you can tell here, but the base of the glass is just still full of sugar granules or whatever you want to call it. And that's sort of one of the sort of standard things that we see with these Russian rations, is that the drink mixes don't dissolve very well. Probably would have been smarter to throw a little bit of hot water in first to get the mix dissolved, and then put the cold water in after. But hindsight's 20/20, so not gonna be able to do that now. Next, let's just get our pack of crackers open. In our previous video, we did the sort of the whole wheat crackers, and they seem to be pretty good. This ration, when I did the first part of the video, had expired, I think, about 6 days before I'd shot it. It's been a couple of weeks now doing the second part of the review, so they shouldn't have gotten that much worse over time. But the crackers actually usually are the first thing to go bad, and they weren't that bad. You could tell they were starting to go a little bit stale, but it wasn't. It didn't, detract from the taste or anything like that. Some people may notice, having watched the first video, there's one item that's missing, and you may be wondering, well, why aren't you doing that item? It's the fatback pork, or the salty pork, or the sallow, whatever it is you want to call it. I decided a better reviewer than me would probably do a better job with something like that. So Steve 1989, who's one of the great guys of the ration review community, we just did a trade a little while ago, so he actually has my packet of salty pork right now, and he's going to try it out at some point, I'm sure. So to go along with the crackers, I guess we can have this applesauce. Looks like it's a pretty good consistency. It's a nice color. It's a little tiny bit darker than what I would want it to be, but that could just be the fact that they're not using a whole lot of preservatives in it, so that could actually be more natural than what we're sort of used to. Hopefully it's a lot better than the apple butter I had in the first video, because that stuff was gone very bad. That's the best way to put it. Next, we're going to open up our vegetable caviar. Now, the label has decided to want to come off this, but there we go. You can easily tell that that probably's got some sort of tomato base in it as well, due to the color and the sheen that it kind of has. And next we're going to do the pates. So we see this one here has probably more of a, I guess, like deviled ham, canned boiled ham kind of look, with all the sort of gelatinous fat and whatnot around the side. It has more of a luncheon meat look to it than an actual sort of creamy pate. And the other pate, this one's tore up pretty bad, but it hasn't been pierced, I don't believe, so it should still be good. And yeah, that looks perfectly fine. It's more of the creamy sort of texture than what you would usually find. So we've got all this stuff. We'll try our Stimorol gum later. We've got a multivitamin here as well. We can open that up and have a look. So yeah, just a standard sort of looking tablet. Alright, so the mains seem like they're done, so I'm going to go get those now, and then we're going to try out everything. So, be back in a second. Alright guys, so here's everything all laid out, and just sort of peel the foil back on this. So on one side, we have, of course, our beef and potatoes. And I don't know if it translates to goulash or something like that, but it has... sometimes when it translates, it comes up as that. So I don't know if that's the proper term to use for it or not, but that's what comes up for the translation sometimes. And we've also here on this side got our beef first grade, and like I said, it either translates to beef stew or beef first class. And this is obviously not a beef stew, as it appears to be. It's just one solid piece of beef. And as I say, the translation showed bay leaf, and there you go. There's the bay leaf. So it's just a solid piece of beef in a lot of juice and fat. So yeah, that should be pretty good. So yeah, without any further ado, I guess we'll just try out the mains. So this is mostly just some sort of potato, chopped up potatoes kind of thing. It appears to have some sort of tomato-based kind of sauce in it. And then these pieces of, it's almost more like ground beef than actual sort of fibrous, you know, large pieces of beef kind of thing. It's been mechanically separated, I guess is the best way to put it. So we'll try a little bit of this and see how it is. Well, that's not bad. It's the flavor is very reminiscent of just getting a, you know, canned beef stew kind of thing. There's nothing else really in it aside from the potatoes and the beef. You know, no peas, carrots, that kind of thing. But it's got that very sort of canned beef stew kind of flavor, which is not bad actually. The beef actually has some degree of texture to it, and I would say the seasoning actually isn't that bad on this. It doesn't feel like it needs any salt. It doesn't seem like it needs any pepper. It's pretty good. So, surprising. Now, I would assume probably the fat content of this may be a little bit high. You know, they're not going to preserve it with artificial preservatives. It's probably just a lot of salt and fat, basically. But that does end up making it somewhat tasty. I'm going to try one of the drinks now. Let's try this one here. It's supposed to be peach. Let's find out. Yeah, that one is peach. It's once again like the raspberry in the previous video. It's a very faint sort of flavoring. It's not overpowering. It's not gonna, you know, knock you right in the taste buds. It's just, you know, the faintest hint of peach, almost as if a truck full of peaches drove by the factory where they made this, and that's about the amount of taste you're going to get from it. It's not crazy. It's not very sweet. It's more of a refreshing, crisp kind of drink. I don't know if it was dissolved a bit better and stirred up a bit more. Maybe it would seem a little bit better, but you know, that's just what it seems like to me right now. Next, we're going to try out our beef first class, or whatever it is you want to call it. Let's just break off a chunk here. So that's just like a solid chunk of beef and fat, basically. For anyone who knows me, I'm not a huge fan of meat that's overly fatty. So this probably isn't my favorite thing I've ever had in a ration. I'm gonna get a better look at it. You can see that really shiny, oily sheen on it. And the minute you take a bite of it, your mouth gets coated by, I guess grease is the best way to describe it. It's just this sort of thin layer of grease that coats the inside of your mouth. I would assume if you were a soldier and you're getting a chance to stop and eat, and you know, you get a chance to warm this up, and you're cold, and you haven't eaten in a while, this would be an absolutely perfect thing. You know, it's going to be just really hearty, a lot of calories, a lot of energy. But for just a regular setting, and especially on a hot summer's day, this probably isn't the most appetizing way to have it, but it's got a good flavor. It's rather salty. It's very fatty, but it tastes good. It's, you know, it's a solid piece of beef. You can tell that it doesn't have that sort of preserved salt beef kind of feeling to it. You can tell it's just, you know, this was almost like a piece of a chunk of a roast or something like that they just threw in here with some oil, some juices, but it's not bad. So then, I guess lastly, we'll just do the rest of the stuff on the table. We'll try another one of the drinks. We'll try the cherry this time, see if that's any more flavorful. Yeah, I'm usually not a fan of cherry flavored things, but that I would probably say is the best of the 3 beverage base powders that they give you in this ration. When you go to drink it, you get the smell of the cherry right away, and it's sort of very pleasant. And it doesn't have that really artificial cherry flavor that you would get from something like a Kool-Aid or whatever, or even American MRE or LRP or MCW cherry base powders. It's got a natural cherry flavoring to it, which is really nice, actually. We're going to try the crackers now. First of all, let's just see what's like on its own. Nice snap. Seems like they should be in pretty good shape. Yeah, those aren't bad, but you can tell that this is what starts to go bad in these rations first. I would say this is probably a little bit more stale than what the whole wheat one was. The flavor is, it's not bad, but you can tell it's starting to go off, basically. That's the best way to describe it. So let's just try this vegetable caviar first. I'm going to have it unheated, because it seems like it should be pretty good that way. So it's easy to tell there's some sort of tomato base to this. It's also supposed to have zucchini and eggplant, that kind of thing. So let's try it out. That is surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting that. It's surprisingly light and refreshing, which you wouldn't sort of think would be the word you would use to describe this. But it is. It's got a very refreshing kind of feeling to it when you're eating it. And it's somehow savory at the same time, so I'm sure there's probably salt in this, of course. But you're picking up on the tomato and the zucchini and the eggplant. You can sort of discern all 3 flavors. I don't know what else would be in it. But this is actually fantastic. All right, so I guess we'll try out our pates next. I don't know if we're going to need our knife or not. Let's try this pate just on its own. It's a little bit more dense than I anticipated it being, so I guess we are going to have to go use the knife. So yeah, that's one of our pates. It's the more creamier version of it. I don't know if it's going to be liver or not, but I guess we'll tell if it's got a fairly strong metallic taste. That'll be a good indicator. Now, I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, or because it's expired, or what, but I'm not a pate fan at all, and oh man, I don't want to use the word horrible, but I did not want to actually swallow that. Oh god, I'm gonna have to cleanse the palate. Yeah, that's not doing it. I'm gonna have to go to something else. Let's just try this applesauce, see if it's somewhat sweet. Oh, thank God. That's a really tart, sour applesauce, and I couldn't have asked for anything better to help cut through the whatever you can call this. Oh God. Let's try the other pate, see if there's some sort of saving grace here somewhere. As you can see, this is very dense, covered in a lot of sort of gelatinous fat. That's the best way to describe it. Get a piece of that on there. And let's try it out. Okay, well that's at least palatable, but it's certainly not something I'm a huge fan of. It's something I would not purposely go back for again, but of course, you know, doing these ration reviews is one of the interesting things, is seeing what various countries around the world deem to be, you know, the proper food to give to their soldiers. And it's interesting to see around the world, some countries seem to be very, very keen on using things like pate as, I guess, a protein source and a fat source, high calorie source, and some other countries don't touch pate at all. I would probably be someone who would prefer not to be having pate in their rations, because I'm not a huge fan of either of those. This is at least somewhat good. I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't want to have any more of that. So let's just go back to the applesauce again. See, it's got a nice sort of grainy kind of consistency to it. A light amber kind of color. And yeah, that's wonderful. I don't know what type of apple they're using for that applesauce, but I mean, the outside of the label shows just regular red-skinned apples, something like a Macintosh or something like that, but I honestly don't know what sort of type of apple they'd be using there. But it's certainly not a sweet apple. It's a very, very tart, sour one. But that actually works pretty good. Yeah. So what do we got left? Not a whole lot, actually. We didn't end up needing to use the salt or the pepper, because both of the mains were, you know, tasty enough, seasoned well enough on their own. We got our multivitamin. Let's just give that a try. And just to finish off, just have another piece of our stem roll gum. From the last video, of course, I described this as something that has a grape and mint combo kind of flavor, and it was actually very nice. So just, you know, your standard little briquette of gum. Oh yeah, it's even nicer today than it was the last time I did the review. It's a really nice grape flavor. It's not artificial in any way. It tastes like sort of a natural grape flavor, which is a nice change from what we're usually used to having. And that really helped take away the lingering aftertaste that I have left in my mouth from that pate there. So once again, I don't know if that's because of the fact that the ration is supposed to be expired by now, and it's not supposed to taste that way, or it does actually taste that way all the time, and I'm just not a fan of that particular type of pate. Who knows? So that's it, guys. I'm going to finish off the majority of this now. Some of the things, like the pates, I probably won't be going back to, but the rest of this stuff will be my dinner for today. So yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by for another review, and hopefully get back to you again sometime soon with a new review. I'm not entirely sure which one I'll do next. I've got some new stuff just came in. I've got some an Estonian 24-hour ration, a Latvian single meal ration, a vintage 1983 LRP American ration, and a few other things. So not entirely sure which one I'll do next, but I'll get back to you as quick as I can. So thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.